This controversy, this one was a hard one to swallow. And to be honest, it's a 10 out of 10, totally legit. Throughout my time in professional strongman, I've won 10 shows. I've been on 18 straight podiums and counting, but it's not without controversy. Today, I'm going to expose myself, all of the controversies that have arisen, and I'm going to give them a score out of 10 to how much credit they deserve to be controversies. I've come to learn that anytime anyone wins anything, someone has something to say about why they don't deserve to win. That being said, I've had stuff that they're not all 0 out of 10s. To be fair. Now, I will throw the caveat in. We go through rules meetings. In the rules meetings, they tell us what's required of us. I then do exactly what's required of us. And that's that. Sometimes they don't require enough, according to some people. But in the moments of competition, it is so hard to know what position you're in. You're relying on the referee to do their job. And that's really the long and short of it. Now, without further ado, let's get into the controversies. I'm giving top 6 controversies. The first one has to do with this guy and the monster dumbbell at World's Strongest Man. In 2023, there was a max monster dumbbell, and the calls across the entire competition were fairly soft. Now, they were soft in 2 ways. One, a lot of people weren't locking out their arm and didn't hold the dumbbell steady. And 2, I tend, when I press heavy overhead, I tend to get my body out of the way to be able to press up, almost press my body under the implement rather than press the implement up. Then I will continue to stand up. Now, in this competition in particular, I was leaned over, sort of in this position, and the dumbbell was steady for probably a good 2 counts. And I didn't stand up all the way. I got the down call. I'm giving this controversy an 8 out of 10. It's pretty justified that there were a lot of dodgy calls. I'll throw up mine and compare it to the one that's tied with me for winning the event. And it certainly, I think, brought to light a couple of standards that have been rectified when it comes to monster dumbbell. People are now talking about your body being erect. It's actually cool. Each one of these has these new rule sets that I'm sitting in rules meetings going like, I know where you got that from. So I'm giving that an 8 out of 10. That being said, the rules of the competition were followed. The judge gave the down call, and that's my natural inclination to press a dumbbell that way when it gets heavy, and I have to fight to then stand up after that to whatever degree the competition and the referee in front of me is requiring. But of course, why would you hold something for longer than the referee asks you to hold it for? Now, coming in at number 2, this had a lot of stir. And actually, I now think back on this competition quite a bit. This is the 2024 Rogue Invitational. Originally, we were supposed to do fingers finger into log press. We then got an email saying that the log press was the only part that we were going to be doing. We weren't going to do fingers because there was weather problems. Supposed to be outside and the field was wet. Seems like a reasonable call to me. A lot of people didn't like that. I now see the value of safety because of recent developments in the CrossFit world. But regardless, we had log for reps. I was under a lot of pressure. I was leading the show at this stage. Tom Stoltman was in second, and he needed to gain quite a number of points. He put up an absolutely phenomenal performance, and he hit 10 reps on a 162 kilo log. I went out and I put up 9 reps. Now, the controversy here was 2 things. One, the other athletes didn't read the rules. They didn't know that you could pick the log up off the ground and you could still finish your attempt if you had started it. I actually mentioned this in my interview before the event took place. And lo and behold, I was right. I think I was the only one who knew that that rule was a thing. I took advantage of that. But the bigger controversy is that when I log press, just like with the dumbbell, I'll tend to press my body away. And then I'll bring my head through. Now, the referees in this competition, they weren't waiting all that long for you to put your head through, or me to put my head through. I simply extend the log, lock it out, stable. They gave the down call. I put the log down, and that's the standard that was held. This is difficult because when you're doing a lot of reps, you don't want hard down calls because it's going to slow down your rhythm quite a bit, and the fans are going to get a worse experience. That being said, I think there's a reasonable balance here. It doesn't help as well that Tom Stoltman, who came second, he has, or first in that event as well, he has the best lockouts, maybe in Strongman. If you look at him from the side, his entire head is in front of his arms. I have no idea how that's possible, but hats off to him. He's strong as hell doing it. So yeah, the contrast is quite large, and I think it's to my detriment when it comes to general public opinion. Now, second bit of this controversy at Rogue was a false start on the last event. The timer for this event was set to beep. So it was athletes ready, and on the beep, you go. That was mistimed. So they told us, we're going to say 3, 2, 1, go. And when we say go, that's when you go, not on the beep. So 3, 2, 1. And then I was anticipating the go. So me and Mateusz actually left on the exact same frame, which was slightly early. I was anxious to get going. I was anxious to get moving. Of course, that was the last event to win the show. They ended up taking every athlete's times based on where they started, and they just took the time from when you moved to the time you finished, and that was your time. They gave the leeway on the false start because they changed the way in which they were starting the event. It's way more fair to have a gun go off or a beep go off where no one can time it. That way you don't get jittery, you don't get too excited, you can't anticipate anything to come. Now I give this controversy, I give this a 5 out of 10 because you could have stricter reffing to stand up, and I did leave marginally early when it comes to the last event. Neither of those really affected the outcome of the competition in any major way, but definitely a little bit there. Next up, most recent one, strongest man on earth squat depth. If you want to see that full video, check it out up there. I did a full breakdown of the whole competition, and I won the strongest man on earth. In that competition, they set the squat depth so that your knees were at 90 degrees. I ended up hinging over more than squatting in the competition itself. That's my normal squat pattern, but since I hinged, my hips stayed higher, my shoulders went lower, and my shoulders went low enough that the bar bottomed out. There was no further place that I could go. So my squats were a little bit high. Or I should say, my squats seemed high, but it wasn't a squat event. It was an event to move an apparatus from A to B as many times as you could. We had no hip crease rule. We had no anything other than here's the top, here's the bottom, set to you as an individual. You have to hit that, and I did every time. I don't think this one deserves a whole lot of attention. I think the squat in this show was built up to be such a big thing because it was myself versus Thor, Lucas Hatton in the mix, and who's the best squatter. I got 10. The next best guy got 5. So I'm giving this one 4 out of 10. Don't think that it holds a lot of water. Next up, Arnold 2023. This is my first major competition, my first experience with rude people when you win a show. And this was a big bummer because I wasn't used to it yet. But I came in event order. I came third, tied for second, third, and I won the show by about 4 points, but I didn't win an event. And this is my first experience with people saying, if you don't win an event, you shouldn't win the show. Mateusz, my closest competitor in that show, who came second, he came first, then a 4-way tie for 5th, then 8th, first. He won 3 events, ended up coming second in the show. This is always fun when you go to a higher caliber show and it draws in fans that aren't normally fans of the sport and they don't understand how the sport is scored. It would be like a basketball team winning 3 quarters and not winning the game. It's just total nonsense. You add up the score from every element of the competition. What's the total score? You don't get extra points for winning a quarter in football. You don't get extra points for winning an event in strongman. You either win it or you don't win it. Simple as that. I give this controversy a 0 out of 10. And I think people who have this as a controversy, which has actually come up a couple of times for me, should probably just learn the rules and the scorekeeping before they comment, because at this point, it's just a bit funny. It would be like someone watching football and arguing that a 1 point extra point should be worth 3 because it's also a field goal. I get what you're saying, but you make no sense. Up at number 5, the Arnold from this year, Arnold 2024, which I won as well. I'll lock it with the stone controversy. Stone overhead pressing is so difficult. Now, in this event in particular, it was very difficult because more guys than not failed this stone lift altogether. We've got 3, 4, 5. We have 6 guys out of a potential 10 failing the first elements of this stone medley. Now, this was a 136 kilo stone press, over 300 pounds. And the difficulty with stones is you have to keep your hands on the bottom. You can't go on the side or else it'll fall on top of your head. In the rules meeting for athletes, they said, do not put your head through. If you put your head through in an overhead stone lift, the likelihood it's going to knock your head is very high. They don't ask that, require that, recommend that at all to complete the lift. So I had myself lean back, locked out my arms, got the down call, threw the stone in front of me, bada bing, bada boom. Now, the controversy is the same as with other overhead implements, that I didn't lock the stone out all the way. I was leaned back, shouldn't have counted, et cetera, et cetera. I give this controversy a 2 out of 10 because I won this show by 11.5 points. I didn't even have to go out for the final event. So if it's not impacting the show, why are we causing a big stir about it? The show is already over. The last controversy that I'm giving a 10 out of 10, my most controversial moments in all of Strongman. At the end of that stone series, for whatever reason, I had never touched the tombstone before, and Mateusz is really the only one on earth who can do it well. But I thought it would be a good idea to call up Arnold's to come watch me nice, close, and personal lifting the tombstone, and it didn't even leave the floor. That is a shame. That is, I laugh at myself about that one a reasonable amount. I mean, you're getting the legends of all legends up just to watch you fail. I was giving it my all, but it just wasn't going to happen on that day. So, Arnold's, if you're watching, I'm sorry. I promise you next time I will perform and I will not call you up. I will just, let's do this. Here's our deal. I will point at you if I do something impressive in front of you, just to say that that was for you, instead of trying to do something for you that turns into doing absolutely nothing for you and wasting your time. Shame. That controversy is a 10 out of 10. I would love to know what you guys think about these. There are always going to be people on both sides. That's totally cool, is what it is. I am incredibly proud of the run that I've been on, and I 100% expect that this is not the end of the controversies. And the way that I think of it, if I came 5th in all of these shows, nobody cares. Nobody's talking about it. It's the privilege of winning is being under a high level of scrutiny from some people online. Now, just do me a favor. Go into the comments. Start arguing. Help the algorithm. Argue in the comments. Have a field day. That only helps me. As per usual, lift heavy, be kind. If you'd like to support the channel, check out the merch and the programs in the links, comments, and in the description. Also, all the companies that I work with, I have the fortunate position of being able to reach out to them and ask them for sponsorship. I basically have my pick of the litter on all of these different areas. And I'm very privileged to be able to choose the people I work with. And you can then have the confidence that these people are people that I truly do back. They're all in the description as well. From my clothing sponsor to shoes to lifting equipment to nutritional supplements, everything. That's all in the description. As per usual, thank you very much for watching, guys. Lift heavy, be kind, and we'll catch you tomorrow.